Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Esoteria Healing. For those of you who are new here, my name is Rio Kashyap and I'm a past life regression therapist, Reiki master teacher, psychic reader and a spiritual coach. In the last video I posted about some paranormal experiences that I had in my childhood. So in this video I'm going to talk about some paranormal experiences that I had as an adult. Some of the major incidents I experienced were when I was at a relative's house with my husband, and that was the time when I actually started believing in my abilities. Up until that time I only experienced everything by my own. I was alone in those experiences and other people around me were not necessarily experiencing the same thing as me, so I was kind of doubting myself still, even though I still had the knowledge of past life regression therapy and Reiki, etc. But the logical mind, the scientifically trained mind, does not believe in things until we get like the hard evidence for everything. So this was in 2018 and me and my husband and my father-in-law were at a relative's house. So we reached that house late at night and it was cold. As soon as we stepped into the house, we felt something, not normal, and it was the same with my husband. But me being the one who is always doubtful about my abilities, I did not pay much attention to what I was feeling. But my husband, he straight away told me that there is some kind of change in the energies around here, and I was being gravitated towards a door that was behind the house. He opened that door because he was feeling the same from that door. We could see that there is a small road and then there is a well on the other side of the road there, and then there is a school on the left side. And on looking at that well, both of us had like goosebumps running up and down through our body, and we looked at each other and we were like, yes, for sure there is something happening around here. And he gave me a mantra at the same time for remembering Lord Hanuman, so that if something happens I can say that mantra and ward off whatever entity or evil spirit that is there. That mantra was Shri Hanumate Nama. I memorized it, and then we set up our beds and we went to sleep. So the room that we were staying in was locked up until that time we came, and they just opened it for us. And it was dusty all around, and we just cleaned up the area where we were going to sleep. And my husband fell asleep pretty quickly, he always does. So I fell asleep quite late, like after 1 or 2 hours of laying down. As soon as I was in the in-between stage, so you can say my brain waves might be in the theta stage at that time, I was going to fall asleep, but I was not also completely awake. And that is the stage of deep meditation, that is the in-between stage, if you know what I'm talking about. So in that in-between state, what I see is that there is a child, maybe 3 or 4 years old, standing beside my bed on the right side, and I see him as a translucent figure with shining 2 eyes. And I can also see the whole place, the whole house, in a different kind of a dimension, and the whole layout of the house was also kind of changed. So my father-in-law in reality was sleeping in the next room, and the door to that room was closed. But in this dimension, you can say, I could see that his room is kind of perpendicular to us and not on the side, and there was no door between us and my father-in-law, and I could see him sleeping there on the cot. And there was this child standing beside me, and when I looked at him I got really scared because I had never seen anything. I had only heard things because I am a clairaudient, but at that time I could actually see that kid standing there and looking at me, and I got very, very scared. And I was trying to make myself get up, but I couldn't do that. And suddenly I felt like the child was sucking my soul out through my body. I actually felt like a dementor was sucking my soul out, as you must have seen in Harry Potter. So when that started happening, I could feel the left half of my body going numb and paralyzed, and I couldn't move my left hand at all. I could move my right one but not the left one, and my body was falling limp from the left side, and this really scared me very, very much. And I remember the mantra that my husband told me, but I couldn't speak that mantra, I couldn't chant it, couldn't move my mouth to say it. So I repeated that mantra in my mind, and as soon as I started saying that mantra, I could easily come out of my sleep. And I sat up on my bed and I woke my husband up, and I told him that there is a child here who was standing right beside me just a minute ago, and he was trying to suck away my soul or something. I don't know what that was. Both of us started chanting the mantra and also Hanuman Chalisa because we were so scared of what just happened. And initially he didn't quite believe that I actually saw something. He thought that, I might be scared because of what we discussed earlier, right, about the door and the well. And I also didn't take it quite seriously because once again I still did not believe that I actually saw something. Maybe, it was just a dream or something. We decided to stay awake until 6 o'clock in the morning, and suddenly we hear a thumping noise on the terrace. And initially I was like, okay, it's morning time, maybe somebody has got up and they are on the terrace. Although I knew that that was impossible because I knew that the door to the terrace was locked. The whole house was surrounded by very, very tall houses, so it was like there are 2 3-story houses on either side of the house, and the house that where we were staying is just one ground floor, so somebody cannot just jump from either of the terraces into our terrace. The whole area is infested by baboons, so I knew that there are baboons who could be on the terrace. They might be jumping around, so I was like, okay, it's just a baboon. But then the thumping intensified, and along with the intensified thumping, we could also hear a chun chun chun, as if a lady is jumping on the terrace with all her jewelry, especially the anklet. So in that area it's very common for ladies to wear anklets, very heavy ones. Still I was thinking that okay, maybe there is a lady on the terrace, but the movements she was making were very unreal. It was very, very heavy, heavier than a normal lady. And she wasn't just walking on the terrace or jumping on the terrace, she was literally hopping. It was like at one moment she's jumping here, and in the second moment she's jumping on the other end of the terrace. Within milliseconds, it was just shifting back and forth. And I was looking at my husband like that, in disbelief that what is happening. And as we were just thinking about what it could be, we heard the thumping come down into the veranda. Now that lady was jumping in the veranda, and that's the time when we realized that this is another ghost that we are dealing with here. And as we were just sitting up and thinking what we need to do, the thumping again shifted to the terrace. So it was just going back and forth like that, up and down, dhum dhum dhum, like that, along with the anklet noise. The moment we decided that we need to get up right now and wake our father-in-law up was when we heard the thumping in the veranda, and then we heard that thumping move towards the door to our father-in-law's room, and then the door creaked open. Like that, it creaked open. It was a very old house. That's when we just got up, and the door was indeed open, but there was no one there. And we woke him up and we told him everything that happened, and then we got freshened up and met with the relative whose house it was, and we asked him, is there something in this house? And he laughed at us. He was like, you two found it out. Then he proceeded to tell us the whole story about the kid and the mom. So he told us that the kid used to study in that primary school that was behind the house, and he used to study in the same room that we were sleeping at night, and he fell into the well that is behind the house, and his mother could not bear this news, so she also jumped into the well and ended her life. And it was shocking. What we experienced that night was very, very shocking. and we had to stay in that house for a few more days, so it was quite difficult. But from that point on, all of us slept in the same room, and we had a photo of Lord Hanuman on the walls, and we played the Hanuman Chalisa throughout the day. Nothing happened for the rest of the days. It was quite an experience, and also it confirmed everything that I had experienced until that point, and I had doubted my abilities, I had doubted my experiences. It was confirmed that whatever I have experienced all my life during my childhood and adulthood was real. I was not hallucinating. No, the story doesn't end there. After spending 5 or 6 days at that relative's place, we came back to our house, my in-laws' house in Jhansi, and then we again had to go to Delhi to register our marriage and everything. So we just spent a few hours at my in-laws' house. We reached Delhi and we just went on with our work, whatever we had to do. And after 2 days, we received a call from my mother-in-law, and she was very, very scared. She told us all to come back as soon as possible, ASAP. And we were like, what happened? And she told us that there is a child in the house who is causing all kinds of stuff. She said that the child is jumping on the beds and he is disrupting her sleep. When she is sleeping, he tries to play with her bichya. You know, bichya is a toe ring that ladies wear, and he tries to play with that ring. And once he even tried to bite that ring off from her toe, and she could actually see the dent the child made while he was jumping on the bed. The thing is that we never told my mother-in-law about our experience at our relative's house, because we only spent a few hours at home and we had to leave ASAP to Delhi because we had a train. So we never told her about the child or anything. So we got really concerned, and we figured that the child has followed us to Jhansi from that relative's place, which is very, very scary. And we came back immediately, and then all of us together went to a Hanumanji temple, and we went there and told the priest everything that was happening, and we got some kind of a protection puja done. And then we came back home and cleaned the house also, energetically of course, and then we didn't see the child ever again. At that time we were scared and we got rid of the child, but now when I think about it, I feel like we should have helped the child somehow to cross over. Now we don't know if our efforts helped him to cross over, or maybe he is still there, roaming around confused. It's possible that he doesn't know that he is dead and he wants a mother figure to look after him. That's why he was attached to me before, and then my mother-in-law, and that is just heartbreaking. But again, what will you do? So other than this incident, I had a few small little incidents here and there. I saw a few shadow figures. I had a few visitations from my grandfather who had passed away, but very small ones. It was not something big and concrete that I could prove or talk about in details. And it's only after this experience that when I went back to my home, at my parents' house, I had a very heavy experience with that entity that lives in my house. I heard her voice very clearly, and she whispered and did all her things, and then gave me extreme stomach pains for the whole time I was there at my house. I had one experience here when I came to Canada. We used to live near Mount Pleasant in Brampton, and I really liked going out and looking at everything because it was so beautiful all around. And I also really liked to use the Brampton Library at Mount Pleasant. So one day I was walking from my house to the Brampton Library. It was like 1 kilometer from my then house. On the way, there is a small patch of road about 100 meters where I always felt uneasy, like there is someone watching me. And that road wasn't very busy, and also there were no houses facing towards that road, so it was all like empty and just trees. So one day it was raining very heavily, and I was just walking down that road with my umbrella, and suddenly I just hear a few footsteps behind me. But I wasn't thinking about anything like this to happen. I was just going to the library. I didn't expect anything to happen in Canada, although that doesn't matter, right? but I was just walking down that road and I figured that there is someone walking behind me, that's all. Because it was raining and there was a pool of water on the sidewalk, I was hearing my own footsteps and then a second pair of footsteps that was walking behind me. So I was like, okay, maybe there is someone, and those footsteps kept following me up till like 200-300 meters. And by that time I started growing a little concerned that maybe I should just look back and see who is following me. And I looked back, there was absolutely no one there, and that scared me a little bit. And I looked around and I was like, okay, I had been hearing definite footsteps behind me. So I was like, okay, let me check again. So I start walking again as if nothing happened, and those footsteps start again. Imagine somebody walking in the water, how does that sound? So then I checked if these are my footsteps, an echo of my own footsteps, or is there someone else? So I start walking and I stop suddenly. I did that a few times and I figured that it was not my own footsteps, it was somebody else, because sometimes they still kept walking when I stopped. And then I turned around and I just spoke to the wind that whoever it is, please leave me alone, don't follow me, and please go to the light. You don't need to stay here, you don't need to stay in this place anymore, so find the light and go towards it. And I called Archangel Michael to help that soul, and then I left. And from that point I did not hear those footsteps again. I walked that path again, I did not hear those footsteps. And other than that, I also had many experiences with the divinity. So up until now I was talking about ghosts, and I also want to talk about a few experiences with angels. So I will talk about them in my next video. I think this video will go too long otherwise. So I will see you next week with a new video. And if you like my stories, if you want to hear more, then please subscribe and like and comment and share, so that more people who are interested in this kind of stuff can find me. And if you want to follow me on social media, then my Instagram is mentioned below. You can follow me there at Esoteria Healing, and I'll see you next time.